Hello, this application is a suggested solution for the managerial difficulties we have in navigating multiple disparate resources and applications in managing the telehealth service within the Northern California healthcare system. It is a pretty good first order approximation of at least partly what we deal with, addressing multiple issues of equipment, scheduling, quality assurance, to name a few. While I appreciate that this application might be geared towards several stakeholders, for the purpose of this presentation, I lumped them all into a single UI. So let us start with a patient who is looking to have a telehealth appointment. And we typically solicit feedback from all patients undergoing our care. And the feedback typically would go to another office within the healthcare system known as the patient advocate office. And we are unfortunately kept appraised of adverse events weeks or even months after the fact, at which point we are mandated to do a full service recovery. So a patient would go into this UI and be able to put in their feedback. Obviously, they'll have to identify themselves first. And they would put the letter, let's say, Ms. Kimbrough's attention to detail and pleasant pleasant demeanor made all the difference for me. Now, once this letter hits the ontology, an AIP logic implemented in the background would abstract semantics of positive, negative, or neutral patient experience and log it. So remember this once we get to the manager interface, and we'll further discuss this. The next one is this: if I'm a telehealth technician within the telehealth service, where are the people who are actually powering the machine? And there's a set number of tasks that they're mandated to do. Now, this is a group of about 15 individuals manning about 15 clinics across Northern California, which span about 400 miles north to south. And one of the issues is to how do we know that these individuals, these telehealth technicians, are actually in the office? And the way that we verify this is we actually call them and have a meeting between 8 in the morning or 8:30. So this is prime time. And it takes time and effort and more phone calls and more discussions. This UI I've implemented just allows the user to timestamp their check-in time, and we're done. Remember this too when we get to the manager UI. Another application we're dealing with is the scheduling and the rescheduling, which are generally abstracted from us and are handled by another entity within the healthcare service. I think that at a minimum, it would be good if we could reschedule patients on the fly, either to a different VA-defined telehealth modality, or just downright enter a different date and log it as such. Finally, we get to the manager's interface, which gives the manager a full view of the telehealth operation, starting from a patient list appointments across the board, where they can actually see what's happening at each clinic. We also project this on a map of Northern California, such that we see where the patients are coming from. This is interesting because let's say if we have a Sacramento, one in Auburn clinics, which are not that far off, we have a 35-foot rig that could carry a mobile telehealth unit, and we can computationally make recommendations as to where to put this rig to render services even closer to where patients are such that they don't need to travel. This was a very scalable idea, and we can actually implement it using this UI, either just by eyeballing the location or by computing what would be, like we do in K-nearest neighbors, where would be a good point that was somewhat equidistant from all other points. So this is a useful projection of patient information on a map. I mentioned earlier the check-in application, where we can review which CBOX have been checked in at a given time. No need for making Teams calls or a meeting to see everyone. Everyone's there. We're managing a good amount of equipment, probably worth several millions of dollars across the different sites in Northern California, ranging from cameras, retinal cameras, peripheral equipment to examine patients, iPads, and so on. Now, all of this equipment needs to be serviced and followed and monitored and made sure that we are where we need to be and that they're being put online. The online component, to name one, is managed by the Office of IT, which is not even in my org chart. And we don't have any visibility to that component. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to implement a ping to these units down the line, potentially bring this into the ontology such that we can project which equipment is online and is not. Currently, our telehealth equipment manager literally needs to make a Teams call to the technician just to verify and have the technician go and inspect the device in the room. So let alone take action about it. Now, remember a few minutes ago we put in a letter, a feedback letter, and we're seeing that the AIP logic abstracted the positive experience. This is the language of the letter, and we can filter out for the negative ones, and we can see what was the date of the appointment and at which clinic this took place, and we can hold staff accountable if need be and do a much quicker and faster service recovery. From my perspective, from the healthcare's perspective, this is a risk mitigation step such that we can intervene and address issues as they come, as opposed to waiting for several weeks until we learn from this, if at all, from the patient advocate office. Lastly, this button called At a Glance gives really a bird's eye view of what's happening in the Northern California healthcare system, the distribution of patients geographically, where are the loads of patients. Always interesting semantics in there. The visual distribution of the user experience or the inferred user experience. You can start from here. You can try and build some kind of a benchmark of what is acceptable and what is not, and review. And lastly, a bird's eye view of all the equipment. This visual basically allows to see all the equipment we have and its count across the board of all 15 or so clinics that we have. And further down the line, we can further develop this into equipment that needs to be decommissioned, refreshed, equipment that's being online or not. More on that hopefully later. So all in all, a not so bad first order approximation of what I would like to see as a digital twin that powers the operation of telehealth across Northern California. That is all.